No, we were talking about the necessity of human beings changing. And why they don't change, why they accept this intolerable conditions of human psyche. If we are, I think we ought to go or approach the same thing from a different angle. Who has invented this unconscious?
Who has invented it? I think the unconscious, or what we call, there's a difference between what we call the unconscious and what is the unconscious. The word is not the thing.
Yes, word is not the thing.
Now,
who has thought it up?
Well, I think the history of the thinking about the unconscious is a long and involved process. I think it began.
May we ask, have you an unconscious?
Have I? Again, we're into a language problem.
No,
have I an unconscious?
Have you? Are you aware of your unconscious? Do you know you have an unconscious that is operating differently or trying to give you hints? You know, all that. Are you aware of all that?
Yes. I am aware of an aspect of myself that I look at it a little differently. I look at it that there's an aspect of myself that is aware incompletely. That's what I call the unconscious. Is aware of my experience or aware of the events in an incomplete way. That's what I call the unconscious. Now, it uses symbols and different modes of telling of understanding. In other words, a dream where I am discovering jealousy in the dream, right? That I wasn't aware of.
But would you also give importance, or were you, Dr. Baum, a feeling that there is such a thing?
Well, I don't know what we would mean by that. I mean, I think we can, the phenomena are that there are some things we do that whose origin we're not aware of. You see, we react, we use words in a habitual way.
We have dreams.
We have dreams. I mean, I suppose we...
I'm going to question all that, because I'm not sure...
You're not questioning that we have dreams.
No, but I want to question or ask the experts if there is such thing as the unconscious. For me, somehow, I don't think that it has played any important part in my life at all.
Well, it depends on what you mean by
what
the unconscious.
I'll tell you
right,
what I mean.
Right.
Something hidden, something incomplete, something that I have to go after consciously or unconsciously. You know, go after and discover it, unearth it, explore it, and expose it.
Right, right.
See the motives, see the hidden intentions.
Right, right.
Well, could we make it clear, though, that there are some things people do where you can see they're not aware of what they are doing, but some things of the nature of thought?
I don't quite follow.
Well, people are, for example, you know, this Freudian slip of the tongue, you know, that if somebody makes a slip of the tongue which expresses his real intention, you see.
Yes, I didn't mean that, quite.
I mean, in that
That
sense,
would be an unconscious.
Yes.
That's what people think of as the unconscious. You see, I think there are two problems here, if I can just put in a technical statement here. There are those people, and there has arisen in the history of thinking about the unconscious, people who think that there are, like the unconscious is a thing, and that there are things in the unconscious which are there and must be lifted out. Then I think that there's a large group of people now who think of the unconscious as areas of behavior, or areas of response, or areas of experience that are not clear, all the connections, we aren't aware, totally aware of all that goes into what happened. So that in the daytime, you might have, let's say, an experience of a stress, or like you would say, a disorder. You didn't finish with the experience. And at night, you go through reworking it in a new way. You have new other ways. So that would be the unconscious in operation. You get other, let's say, from the past or from previous programs of action.
I mean, the collective unconscious,
Right.
the racial unconscious.
Whereas also, let's say somebody has been deeply hurt in the past, and you can see his whole behavior is governed by that, though he doesn't know, he may not
Yes,
know it.
that I understand.
That his response is always on the basis of the past.
Quite. What I'm trying to find out is why we have divided it, the conscious and the unconscious. Or is it one unitary total process moving, not hidden, not concealed, but moving as a whole current? And we come along, clever, brainy birds come along and split it up
Right.
and say there is the unconscious and the conscious, the hidden, the incomplete, the storehouse of racial memories, family memories, all that.
Well, the reason that happened, I think, is that, well, just partially explained is the fact that Freud and Jung and these people that were seeing patients, out of which grew so much of the knowledge about the unconscious, would see patients, people who had separated it. In other words, had fragmented off this movement that you're talking about.
That's what I want to get
Right.
at.
In other words, a woman who says that she is, the whole history of hysteria, you know, where patients couldn't move their arm.
I know.
You know about that.
Yes.
And then if you open up the memories,
I
and so
know.
then they eventually can move the arm.
know.
So they put two and two together. They don't think it worked that way, but that's the way they did it. Or there were people who had dual personalities.
What I'm trying, is it an insanity, not insanity, is it a state of mind that divides everything, that says that the unconscious, conscious? It is a process of fragmentation also.
Right.
Well, wouldn't you say that a certain material is made, even Freud has said, a certain material is made unconscious by the brain because it's too disturbing?
That's what I
It's
want.
fragmented.
Yeah.
I mean, that's well known in all
Right,
forms of psychology, isn't
That's
it?
right. That's what I'm saying. That that it's fragmented off, and
Yeah.
that then was called the unconscious. What is fragmented is the unconscious.
I understand that.
But that meant, would one say that the brain itself is purposely, or in some sense, holding it separate
Right.
to avoid it, you see?
Right.
Yes, avoid facing the facts.
That's right.
Yeah, so that it's not really separate from consciousness.
No,
That's what I want to get at, you see?
Yeah. It is right. I mean, it isn't separate from conscious. The brain has organized in a fragmented way.
Yeah, but then it's a wrong terminology to call it. See, the word unconscious already implies
That's it.
separation, doesn't
Separation.
it? To say there are two layers, for example, the deep unconscious and the surface consciousness.
Right. Right.
That structure is implied.
That's right.
But now, this other notion is to say that structure is not implied, but rather certain material, wherever it may be, is simply avoided.
That's right. Well, that's
that
the
wouldn't-
way I think about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about somebody because he's hurt me.
Right.
That's not the it's I don't want to think about it.
That's right.
I'm conscious he's hurt me, and I don't want to think
But
about
there's
it.
kind of a paradoxical situation arises because eventually you become so good at it that you don't realize you're doing it. I mean, that seems to happen, you see.
Yes, yes, yes.
That people become so proficient at avoiding these things that they cease to realize they're doing it.
That's right.
Yes.
It becomes habitual.
That's right. I mean, I think this is what happens, that these kinds of things, they hurt.
That is, the wound remains.
The wound remains, and we forget that we've forgotten.
The wound remains.
Right.
Yeah, I think, I used to use the phrase, we remember to forget.
You will remember, yes.
We remember to forget, and the process,
Yeah.
actually the process of therapy is helping the remembering, see, and the recall, to remember you've forgotten, and then to understand the connections of why you forgot, and then the thing can move in a more holistic way rather than being fragmented.
Do you consider or feel that you have been hurt
Yes.
and want to avoid it? Or being hurt, resist, withdraw, isolate, the whole picture being the image of yourself being hurt and withdrawn, all that. Do you feel that when you are hurt?
Yes.
Huh?
I feel, how to put it? I think it's
Rather
too
interesting, this. Let's go into this.
Yes, I feel there's definitely a move not to be hurt, not to have that image, not to have that whole thing changed. Because if it's changed, it seems to catapult into that same experience that was the hurt. See, it may not, this is hurt, but this has a resonation with that unconscious, which reminds me, you see, I am reminded of being hurt deeply by this more superficial hurt.
I understand that.
So that I avoid hurt, period.
Can the brain have a shock? Of course, all the rest of biological, physical shock. But the psychological brain, if I can call it,
Right.
must it be hurt? Is that inevitable?
No, I don't think so. It's only hurt with reference to something.
No, I'm asking you, can such a psychological brain, if I can use those two words, never be hurt? Under any circumstance, given, family life, husband, wife, bad friends, so-called enemies, all that's going on around you, and never get hurt. Because apparently, this is one of the major wounds of human existence, to get hurt. More sensitive you are, the more aware. You get more and more hurt, more and more withdrawal. Is this inevitable?
You're asking,
Yes.
I don't think it's inevitable, but I think it happens frequently, I mean more often than not. And it happens when, it seems to happen when there is, how can I describe it? An attachment is formed and then the loss of the attachment. You become important to me. What you think, you become important to me, I like you, or I get involved with you. Then it becomes important to me
That
you don't do anything that disturbs that image.
that is, in that relationship between two people,
Right.
the picture that we have of each other,
Right.
the image of which, that is the cause of hurt.
Well, but it also goes the other way, that we hold those images because of hurt. I mean,
of course,
now,
of course.
Where does it start? Can we?
That's what I want to get at.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I want to get at too.
You pointed out something.
Right. I know he did, yeah.
Because the past hurt gives a tremendous strength to the image,
To the image.
the image which helps us to forget it, right?
That's right.
Now, is this wound in the unconscious? We'll use the word unconscious in quotes for the time being. Is that hidden?
Well, I think you're being a little simplistic about that, because what is hidden is the fact that I've had the event happen many times. It happened with my mother, it happened with my friends, it's happened before.
School,
the
they
school
never-
thing, where I cared about somebody, and then the image, I mean, it's like you form the attachment and then the hurt.
I'm not at all sure through attachment it comes.
I think it's something, maybe it's not attachment, maybe that's the wrong word, but there's something there that happens. What happens that I form a relationship with you where an image becomes important? What you do to me becomes important.
You have an image about yourself.
That's right.
Hmm?
That's right. And you're saying that I like you because you're
No,
confirming my image?
apart from like and dislike, apart from like and dislike,
Mm-hmm.
you have an image about yourself.
Right, right.
I come along, put a pin in that
Yes.
image.
No, first you come along and confirm it.
Well,
No.
the hurt will be greater if you first come along and be very friendly to me and confirm the image, and then
that's
suddenly put
yes,
the pin in.
Of course, of
that's
course.
right.
That's of course.
But I mean, but even somebody who didn't confirm it, if he puts the pin in properly, he can produce
Right.
that hurt,
That's
right?
That's what
That's right. That's not unconscious. But how come, like you said, why did I have the image to begin with? That is unconscious.
Is it unconscious? That's what I want to get at. Or it is so obvious that we that we don't look. You follow what I'm saying?
I follow what you, yes, I'm with you on this, and
We put it away. We say it's hidden. I question it, whether it's hidden at all. It's so blatantly obvious.
I wonder if all the ingredients of it, I tell you, I don't feel all parts of it are obvious.
I think that we hide it in one sense. That say we say that this hurt means that everything is wrong with the image, but we hide it by saying everything is all right. You see, for example, that in other words, the thing that is obvious may be hidden by saying it's unimportant or that we don't notice it.
Yeah, we don't notice it, but it's like, I get the feeling as we're talking personally, I get
Yeah.
the feeling, there's a kind of, I ask myself, what is it that kind of generates the image? What is that
I
hurt?
will come to that. We'll come to
Yeah.
that. I mean, I'm trying, and we're inquiring into the whole structure of consciousness.
Right, right. That's just what we're
Into
inquiring. That's
the,
what I was coming,
into
yeah.
the nature of consciousness.
Right.
We have broken it up into the hidden and open.
Mm-hmm.
It may be the fragmented mind is doing that.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And therefore, strengthening both.
Right.
Dividing, the division grows greater and greater and greater.
Mm-hmm. The fragmented mind.
Doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most people have an image about themselves, practically everybody.
Right. Practically everybody, yeah.
It is that image that gets hurt. And that image is you.
Mm-hmm.
And you say,
Yeah.
well, I am hurt.
Well, it's the same as we were discussing this morning.
Yes.
Because, you see, if I say I have a pleasant self-image, then I attribute the pleasure to me, right? And saying that's real. And then if somebody hurts me, then the pain is attributed to me. And I say
Right.
that's real too, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems that if you have an image that can give you pleasure, then it must be able to give you pain.
Pain, yes.
There's no way out of that. I mean,
Absolutely.
Well, the image tends to be self-perpetuating, like you were saying about the
yeah, but I think
corporation.
people hope that the image will give them pleasure, right?
Pleasure only.
Only
Right,
pleasure.
right.
But the very mechanism that makes pleasure possible makes pain
Make
possible.
pain possible.
Because, you see, the pleasure comes if I say, I think I'm good, and that I is also sensed to be real, which makes that goodness real.
Mm-hmm.
But then if somebody comes along and says, you're no good, you're stupid, and so on, then that too is real,
Right.
and therefore very significant. I mean, it makes it hurt, right?
The image brings both pleasure and pain.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Put it very, very simply.
Right.
I think people would hope for an image that would bring only pleasure,
Well,
but it
people
can't be done.
do hope. I mean, there's no question about it. People not only hope for the image, but they invest all of their interest in their image. They see themselves as they say, I should not be this way because I am in fact the image, so that they go both ways at the same time. That's the most curious thing about the mind. I am the image, but when I discover that I'm not the image, then I should be that way because I really am that. So it works both ways.
Yeah, but the image, you see, I think that that if you make the self-image and you get the what's implied in there is to say everything depends on having this self-image right. You see, in other words,
That's right. Everything.
the value of everything depends on this self-image being right. So if somebody shows it's wrong, therefore everything is everything is no good, right? Everything is wrong.
That's right.
We're always giving new shape to the image.
That's right.
But I think that this image means everything. You see, this is why. So
course.
it gives a tremendous power.
The entire personality is directed to the achievement of this image. In other words, everything else takes second place.
Are you aware of this?
Yes, I'm aware of it.
What is the beginning of this?
Well,
Please, just summarize first.
yeah,
Every human being practically has an image about
right.
himself,
That's right.
of which he's unconscious or not aware.
That's right.
Use
And
the word
usually it's some sort of idealized.
idealized or not idealized.
Right.
It's an image.
That's right. It's an image. It's idealized, and they must have it.
They have it.
They have, but I mean, they must get all their actions or toward must have it. In other words, to accomplish it.
Right.
To,
I think
to
one
realize.
feels one's whole life is involved, depends
Right.
on the image. You see,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
it's,
right. Depression is when I don't have it.
We'll come to that. Then the next question, how does it come into being?
Well, I think it comes into being, but when, as children, there is this hurt. And there is the feeling that there is no other way in which this hurt can be assuaged or relieved. It works in the family in some way. You are my father, and I understand through my watching you that if I am smart, you will like me, right? I learned that very quickly. So I'm going to make sure I get that love, so I'm going to go from here to there. I'm going to become that.
It's all very simple.
Right.
But I'm asking the beginning of it. The origin of making images about oneself.
Yeah. You see, if I had no image at all, then I would never get into that, would I?
Yeah, that's what I want to get at.
You see, why
If
does...
I never made images.
Yeah, if I never made any image at all, then no matter what my father did, that would have no effect, would it?
I think it's very
that's
important.
a question.
Well,
That's
no, but
very
just saying,
important.
yeah, I'm saying maybe the child can't do it, but
You're
I'm
saying
not sure.
he
I'm
probably
not at all
can.
sure.
Perhaps he can, but I'm saying at least under ordinary conditions he doesn't manage to do it.
But you're suggesting that the child already has an image that's been hurt.
No, I don't know. We are asking.
Yeah.
But why? But suppose there were a child who made no images of himself.
Okay, let's say the
Then
child, let's assume he has no
then he
image.
cannot get hurt.
He can't be hurt.
Well, now there, see, I think you're in very hot water psychologically, because a child,
I don't know. We said suppose.
suppose, well,
Not the actual child that you know, but rather suppose there were a child who didn't make an image of himself, so he didn't depend on that image for everything.
yeah,
You see, the child you talk about depended on the image that his father loves him,
that's right,
and therefore everything goes when his father doesn't love him. Everything is gone, right?
right,
And
right,
therefore he's hurt, right?
that's right,
But if he has no image that is, he must have his father love him,
right.
then his father, he will just watch his father. And
The child who's watching his father, but let's look at it a little more pragmatically. Here is the child, and he is actually hurt.
well, wait, he can't be hurt without the image.
Well, that's
No,
that.
but what's going to get hurt?
Okay, that is not. Wait, what? It's like putting a pin into the air.
No, now wait a second. Now wait a minute. I'm not going to let you guys get away with this one. Here you've got this child, very vulnerable, in the sense that he needs physiological support. He has enormous tensions.
So agree to all that. Such a child has an image
No, no image. He simply
No
is
way.
not biologically being supported.
No. No. Huh?
Well, he
That's
he
how
may
I
make
read
an
it.
image of the fact that he is not biologically supported. You see, you have to get the difference between the actual fact that happens biologically and what he thinks of it, right? Now, you see, I've seen a child sometimes drop suddenly, and he really goes to pieces not because he was dropped very far, but because that sense of
No. Insecurity.
security from his mother was gone. I mean, it seemed that everything had gone, right?
Right.
And he was totally disorganized and screaming,
Right.
though he dropped
Right.
only about this far, you see. But the point is, he had an image of a kind of security he was going to get from his mother, right?
Well, that's the way the nervous system works.
Well, that's the question. Is it, I think we're discussing, is it necessary to work that way, or is this the
That's
result
what-
of conditioning?
Yes. I would say yes.
This is an important question
Oh,
because,
that's terribly important.
because when you have been in America or this country, children are running away from their parents. But thousands are running away. The parents seem to have no control over them. They don't obey, they don't listen, you follow? They're wild.
So,
And the parents feel terribly hurt. I saw, there was on the TV, what is happening in America. And the woman was in tears, you follow? She said, I'm her mother, he doesn't treat me as a mother. He just orders me, give me bottle of milk, all the rest of it.
right.
And he's run away half a dozen times. And this is growing. The separation between the parents and the children are growing all over the world. They have no relationship between themselves, between each other. So what is the cause of all this? Apart from sociological, economic pressures and all that, which makes the mother go and work and leave the child alone, and he play, all that, we take that for granted, you say. But much deeper than that. Is it the parents have an image about themselves, and the parents insist in creating an image in the children?
I see what you're saying. I
And
don't think that's it.
the child refuses to have that image, but he has his own image. So the battle is on.
That's very much what I'm saying when I say that initially the hurt of the child.
We haven't come to the hurt yet.
Well, but that's where I'm trying to get at what is in that initial relationship. What is the initial relationship between child?
I doubt if they have any relation. That's what I'm trying
That's
to
right.
point out.
That's right. I agree with you. There's something wrong with the relationship. Or they don't have they have a relationship, but it's a wrong relationship. I think
Have their relationship.
they have a
Look, young people get married or not married. They have a child.
right.
By mistake or intentionally, they have a child. The young people, they are children themselves. They haven't understood the universe, cosmos, order, or chaos. They just have this child.
That's right. That's right. That's what happens.
And
Yeah.
they play with it for a year or two, and they say, for God's sake, I'm fed up with this child. And look elsewhere. And the child feels left, lost.
That's right.
And he needs security.
Right.
From the beginning, he needs security,
Right.
which the parents cannot give or are incapable of giving. Psychological security, the sense of, you're my child, I love you, I look after you, I'll see that throughout life you behave properly, care.
Right.
They haven't got that feeling.
Right.
They're bored with it after a couple of years,
That's right.
right? Is it that they have no relationship right from the beginning, neither the husband nor the wife, a boy or girl? It's only a sexual relationship,
Right.
the pleasure relationship, which they in accepting that, they won't accept the pleasure, the pain principle involved in pleasure principle.
Right. That's right. They won't, and not only that, they won't let the child go through that.
The child is going through that.
Yes, but they do things that they don't let the child have the pleasure that goes all the way, nor do they let the child have the pain that.
So what I'm trying to see is that there is actually no relationship at all, except biological, sexual, sensory relationship.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I'm not saying it
Yeah.
is so. I'm questioning it.
I don't think it's so. I think that they have a relationship, but it's a wrong relationship. That there are all kinds of.
There is no wrong relationship. It is a relationship or no relationship.
Well, then we'll have to say they have a relationship. Now we'll have to understand the relationship. But I think that most parents have a relationship with their child.
When you say it's the image that's related, you see, suppose a parent and child have images of each other,
Yeah.
and the relationship is governed by those images. Now, the question is whether that is actually a relationship or not, or whether it's some sort of fantasy of a relationship.
A fanciful relationship.
Yeah, you see,
So you have children. Forgive me if I come back to you.
Right.
You have children. Have you any relationship with them? No, in the real sense of that word.
Yes.
Huh?
In the real sense, yes.
That means you have no image about yourself.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
And you are not imposing an image on them.
That's right.
And the society is not imposing an image on them.
There are moments like that.
And they're not good enough, like a rotten egg.
Now, this is an important
yeah.
point.
I mean,
you
if it's
see.
moments, it's not so. It's like saying a person who is hurt has moments when he's not hurt, but it's sitting there waiting to explode when something happens. right?
Happens, yeah.
You see, so he can't go very far. He's like somebody who's tied to a rope. As soon as he reaches the limits of that rope, he's stuck.
That's right.
You see, so you could say I'm related as long as certain things are all right.
Mm-hmm.
But then beyond that point, it sort of just blows up. You see what I'm driving at?
I see what you're driving
That
at.
mechanism is inside there, buried, so that it dominates you potentially.
In fact, what you just said is fact.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll verify that that's what happens. In other words, it seems that there are, but it does seem that there are moments in which there are that
Well,
this
it's
is
like
free.
the man who is tied to a rope, and he says there are moments when I
But a
don't, when
moment
I
I'm
can
free.
move wherever
That's
I
right.
like, but
That's
then
right.
I can't really, because if I keep on moving, I'm bound to come to the end, right?
Yeah, well, that does seem to be what happens. In fact, that there's a reverberation in which there's a yank back.
Yeah, either I come to the end of the cord or else something yanks the cord. And
That's
then,
right.
But
That's
the person who is on the cord is really not free, ever.
Well, that's true. I mean, I think that's true.
And see, in the same sense, the person who has the image is not really related ever, you see.
That's just the whole point. You can play with it.
Yeah.
You can play with the verbal, but actually you have no relationship.
You have no relationship as long as it's the image.
As long as you have an image about yourself, you have no relationship
That's right.
with another. This is a tremendous revelation. You follow? It's not just an intellectual statement.
Mm-hmm. Let me share with you something. I resent this.
I see that.
You see that? I mean, I get rather angry with
I
you.
see it.
You know, I mean, there's a real, and we've seen this in other places where
it always happens with analysis, doesn't it?
Well,
This
it
sort of
happens
thing.
in analysis, but I mean, I was thinking we had psychotherapy.
Yeah.
The meeting with the psychotherapist, this came up. There's a tremendous resentment to say that, I mean, because I have the memory of times when I do have what I think is a relationship, yet I must be honest with you and say that that after such relationship, there inevitably seems to be this
The
yank
yanking
back.
of the cord, yeah.
The yank back. so that I must, there is that. I mean, there's no question that the image, there is a place where you say you'll have a relationship with somebody, but you will go just so far.
Yes.
Of course,
And that's where the
that's
image
understood.
comes in.
That's right. But then really the image controls it all the time, because you say the image is
right.
the dominant factor. If you once pass that point, no matter what happens, the image takes over. Right?
That's right.
You
That's
see,
right.
it's
It's
like
very
some,
much like that stuff of Renee Tom's. In other words,
yeah,
is
it goes.
it goes right down, right?
Yeah.
So the image gets hurt.
Right.
Now, and the child, do you impose an image on the child? Because you are bound to, because you have an image.
You're trying to. Yeah.
You have to.
Well, no, you're working at it, and the child picks it up or he doesn't pick it up.
Because you have an image about yourself, you're bound to create an image in the child.
That's right. Yeah.
That's it. You follow, you've discovered.
Yes.
And society is doing this to all of us.
Yeah. So you say the child is, is picking up an image just naturally, as it were, quietly, and then suddenly it gets hurt, right?
Hurt. That's right.
So
That's right.
the hurt has been prepared and preceded by
That's
this steady process of building an image, right?
That's right. Well, it's there is evidence that shows, for instance, we treat boys different than we treat girls.
Look at it. Don't verbalize too
Right.
quickly.
But you see, if the steady process of building an image didn't occur, then there would be no basis for no structure to get hurt. You see, that's the.
Mm-hmm.
See that, in other words, the pain is due entirely to some psychological factor, some thought which is attributed to me. You see, in saying I am suffering this pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whereas I was previously enjoying the pleasure of saying my father loves me, I'm doing what he wants. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now comes the pain, I'm not doing what he wants, and he doesn't love me.
Yeah.
But what about the initial hurts? I mean, the child.
No, if you want,
No, I think we've got it beyond that point.
Beyond that
I don't
point.
think we have. I don't think we've touched on the fact of the biological situation of the child feeling
neglected.
Well, but that's still, what do you mean? If the child is neglected, I mean, I think that he must pick up an image in that very process,
Yeah,
if
of
you
course.
see what I'm...
If you admit, once you admit, see the reality, that as long as the parents have an image about themselves, they're bound to give that image to the child.
You see,
An image.
It's the image which makes the parent neglect
Yeah, well,
the
you're
child.
right there.
It's
yeah.
right.
There's no question. As long as the parent is an image maker and
That's
has an image,
He's
then
bound to
he has nothing. He can't see the child.
and therefore gives an image to the child.
Right, and he'll condition the child
Yeah.
to be into something.
Yeah.
Yes, and at first perhaps through pleasure, then he'll get hurt. But if he begins by neglecting him, see, I think that the process of neglect is also the result of an image, and he must communicate an image to the child as he neglects
Which
the
is
child.
neglect.
Yes, that neglect is the image that
Right,
he is
right.
communicating.
That's right.
That's
And
right.
also the parents are bound to neglect if they have an image about
Right.
themselves.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
See, he
They
will-
must, because
Yeah,
then as long as
inevitable.
right,
The child will
because they're
get
fragmenting rather than seeing the whole.
Yeah, the child will get the image that he is doesn't matter to his parents, that
Except in that fragment.
yeah, in the fragment they like and so on.
That's right. So if you're this way, I'm with you. If you're not that way,
But you see,
That's right.
society is doing this to every human being. Right? Church is doing it. Churches, religions, politics, everything, culture around us is creating this image.
that's right.
And that image gets hurt and all the rest of it. Now, next question is one aware of all this? Which is part of our consciousness.
Right, right.
The content of consciousness makes up consciousness, right? That's
Right.
That's clear.
Right.
What? So, one of the contents is the image making, or maybe the major machinery that is operating, the major dynamo, major movement. Being hurt, whichever human being is, can that hurt be healed and never be hurt again? That is, can a human mind which has created, which has accepted the image, which creates the image, put away the image completely and never be hurt?
Right.
And therefore, in consciousness, a great part of it is empty. It has no content. I wonder.
Can it? I really don't know the answer to that.
What?
I know the answer only that I believe you could.
Who is the image maker? What is the machinery or the
image
process
making, right.
that is making images? I may get rid of one image and take on another. I'm a Catholic, I'm a Protestant, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Zen monk, I'm this, I'm that. You follow, they're all images.
Right. Who is the image maker?
You see, after all, if there is an image of that kind, how can you have love in all this?
Well, we don't have an abundance of it.
We don't have it.
That's right. We've got a lot of images. That's why I say I don't know. I know about image making.
It is terrible, son, to have the. You follow?
Right. I know about image making, and I see it, now. Even as you're talking about it, I can see it there, and the feeling is one of, it's like a map. You know where you're at. Because if I don't make this image, I'll make another.
Of course, that's
And if
right.
you don't make this one, you'll make another.
We are saying, is it possible to stop the machinery that is producing the images?
Yes.
And what is the machinery? Is it wanting to be somebody?
Yes. It's wanting to be somebody. It's wanting to know where you, wanting to reduce it's somehow or other it seems to be wanting to handle the feeling that if I don't have it, I don't know where I'm at.
Being at a loss?
Yes.
See how clever. See, being at a loss. You follow? The feeling that you're at a loss, not to rely on anything, not to have any support, breeds more disorder. You follow?
Right.
Well, that's one of the images was communicated to as a child, to say that if you don't have an image of yourself, you don't know what to do at all. I mean,
That's right.
That is,
your parents, you don't know what your parents are going to do if you start acting without an image. I mean, you may do something and they will just simply be horrified.
That's right.
the image is the product of thought, right?
It's organized.
Yeah, a product of thought. It may go through various forms of pressures and all the rest of it. A great deal of conveyor belt, and at the end produces an image.
Right, right. No question. I agree with you there, yeah. It's definitely the product of thought, and that thought seems to be like, you know, the immediate action in knowing where you're at, or in trying to know where you're at. It's like there's a
So
space.
can the machinery stop? Can thought, which produces these images, which destroys all relationship, and therefore no love, and not verbally, actually no love. Don't say, yes, I love my, I don't, it's not, when a man who has got an image about himself and says, I love my husband or wife or my children, it's just sentiment, romantic, fanciful emotionalism.
Right.
So, as it is now, there is no love in the world.
Right.
There is no sense of real caring for somebody.
That's true. People
The-
don't, right?
The more affluent, the worse it becomes.
Right.
Not that the poor have this, I don't mean that. Poor people haven't got this either. They're after filling their stomachs and clothes and work.
Oh, but still, they've got lots of images.
Of course, I said both the rich and the poor have
Yeah.
these images, including Brezhnev and Sakharov or whoever it is.
Right.
And these are the people who are correcting the world, right? Who say, well, this, follow? They are the ordering of the universe, of the. So I ask myself, can this image making stop? Stop, not occasionally, stop it.
Yeah.
Because then I don't know what love means. I don't know how to care for somebody. And I think that is what is happening in the world. Because children are really lost souls, lost human beings. I met so many, hundreds of them now, all over the world. They are really lost generation, you understand? As the older people are lost generation, they are. So what is a human being to do? What is his right action in relationship? Can there be right action in relationship as long as you have an image?
Yeah.
No, sir, this is a tremendous, you follow?
That's why I was wondering, you see, it seemed to me you made a jump there, that you said all we know somehow or other is images and image making and thought. That's all we know.
But we never said, can it stop?
We've never said, can it stop? That's right.
We never said, for God's sake, if it doesn't stop, we're going to destroy each other.
So you could say that now the notion that it might stop is something more that we know that we didn't know before. You see, in other words,
It becomes another piece of knowledge.
Yeah, but I was trying to say that when you say all we know, it's the same thing as before. I mean, I feel that there's that block comes in.
Right, right.
You see, in other words, that not much use to say all we know.
Because he said, can it stop? So
Can it
that's,
stop?
that's more than
If you say that's all we know, then it
course.
could never stop, right?
Right.
He's objecting to your use of all.
Yeah.
No,
I think that's what makes
I'm grateful
That's
for
what's
you.
one of the factors blocking it. Yeah.
Yes. Well, if we come down to it, I mean, what do we do with that question, can it stop?
Huh?
I mean, there we are.
Now,
We've got this question.
I
Can
put
it
that
stop?
question to you. Do you listen to it?
I listen, right.
Do you
And it
listen?
stops for-
No,
for-
no, I'm not interested in it. Do you listen to the to a statement.
Right.
Can it stop? We now analyze or examine this whole process of image making, the result of it, the misery, the confusion, the appalling things that are going on. The Arab has his image, the Jew, the Hindu, the Muslim, the Christian, the non, you follow?
Right.
Community, it's this tremendous division of images, symbols,
Yeah.
all the rest of it.
Yeah.
If that doesn't stop, you're going to have such a chaotic world. And you follow, I see this not as an abstraction, as an actuality, as that far.
Right.
And I feel, as a human being, what am I to do? Because I personally have no image about it. I really mean I have no image about myself, a conclusion, a concept, an ideal, all these are images. I have none. And I say to myself, what can I do? When everybody around me is building images. And so destroying this lovely earth where we're meant to live happily and, in human relationship and look at the heavens and be happy about it. So what is the right action for a man who has an image? Or there is no right action.
Let me turn it back. What happens with you when I say to you, can it stop?
I say, of course. It's very simple to me. Of course it can stop. You don't ask me next question, how do you do it? How does it come about?
No, I want to just listen for a minute to when you say, yes, of course. Okay, now, how do you think it can?
5 minutes. We're only 5 minutes.
Okay, well, let's just touch. How can it stop? I have no. Let me put it to you straight, and let's see if I can get it straight. I have absolutely no evidence that it can. No experience that it can, except flashes.
I don't want evidence.
You don't want any evidence.
I don't want somebody's explanation.
Or experience.
Because they're based on images.
Right.
Future image or past image or living image.
Okay.
So I say, can it stop? I say it can. Definitely. It's not just a verbal statement to amuse you. To me, this is tremendously important.
Well, I think we agree that it's tremendously important, but how?
And not how. Then you enter into the question of systems, mechanical process, which is part of our image making. If I tell you how, then you tell me the system, the method, the practice. I'll do it every day, and I'll get the new image.
Yes.
Now, I see the fact that's going on in the world.
I got it. I'm with you, yeah.
Fact, not my reactions to it, not my romantic, fanciful theories, what you should not do. It is a fact that as long as there are images, there is no going to be peace in the world, no love in the world. Whether the Christ image or the Buddha image or the Muslim, you follow, there won't be peace in the world. Right? I see it as a fact.
Right.
Right? I remain with that fact. That's all. Finished. As this morning we said, if one remains with the fact, there is a transformation. which is not to let the thought begins to interfere with the fact.
Mm-hmm. Well, the same as this morning to say, and more images come in as it
More
were.
images coming. So our consciousness is filled with these images.
Yes, that's true.
I'm a Hindu Brahmin. I am my tradition. I am better than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I am the chosen of people. I am the Aryan. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
I am the only Englishman. You follow? All that is crowding my consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, when you say that, to remain with the fact, one of the images that may come in is, that it's impossible or that it could never be done. Or
Never,
whatever.
yeah. That's another
see,
image.
That, see, in other words, if the mind could stay with that fact with no comment whatsoever.
That's right. Well, the thing that comes through to me when you say that is that when you say remain with the fact, you are really calling for an action right there. To really remain with it is that the action of perception is there.
So you don't, why do you make it so much? It is around you.
It's
You
around
are
but
involved in it.
Yeah, but that's different from remaining with it.
Remain with that.
To really see it.
Yes, that's all.
That's. You know how that feels? That feels like something carries forward. Because we're always running away.
So our consciousness is this image. Conclusions, ideas, all
Always
that's
running away.
filling. And that's the essence of the image. If there is no image making, then what is consciousness? That's quite a different.
Well, do you think we could discuss that next time?
Tomorrow.